Everybody ready for weekend? Awesome. We just have the one report out, how we deal with main breaks. And just want to reemphasize this idea that our best opportunity to improve how we do work at Denver Water is simply to engage the people who actually do the work. And so I'm going to turn it over to the people who do the work.
Good morning, all. Sam Piggy's here. Just want to let you know that the team has done a fantastic job. And what we're here to do is to standardize our main break repairs so that we can reduce our cycle times and we can alleviate customer agony. So I would like to have the crew come up that was on the event, and we'll get started, and these guys can take it away.
If you all would just stand under your photo, please. No, I'm kidding. All right. This is the team that we had up there. Of course, this is myself on the left, and Tom Grable here, and Drake Dennert, and John Lugon, who isn't here. John and Gabe, and I think Darren, they're out taking the test. So that'll be a good certification test, and that's a great thing going on. All right. And then DJ Lopez, Paul Smith. Raise your hand, Paul. Ryan Green, Lonnie Smith, Jeff Garrison, Sam Biggies, and, well, Sandra Miller is here somewhere. There she is. She's part of the team. All right. Then we'd like to give special thanks to these fabulous people that helped us out. And, well, you know, I would say we're here to raise our hands, but they're not. Good people. Now, the reason why we do this, well, let's just read that. The crew is using different methods and resources to repair main leaks, result in inefficiencies, injuries, waste, rework, and longer outages than absolutely needed. And we were dealing with main leaks that are, well, 6, 8, 12, 14, no more than that. And the good thing about that, us doing this sort of thing is we find out that we can save time. And the general public will be happy that we're doing that and not out of water long.
So this is our reason for action. This is a demonstration of a main break. This picture right here shows the main, where it's located in the street, where it's blown out up here. So currently, what we want to do is come up with the standard work so we could get a quick and efficient way to get the water back on and get a cleanup like this fixed. So that way water outage is less.
Yo, yo, yo. I have the current state. So basically what we got going on right here is a bunch of chaos. You're making phone calls. You got about 40 trucks on site, 30 people. Nothing's going as smooth as you want it to go. So basically you just have too many steps going on. But it still works the way we want it to. And then our target state is less steps, of course. You got your perfect weather, everything going, everything's fine. You know, nothing, there's no problems. All the issues are settled and handled. So basically everything runs smoothly.
I've been putting up with that all week, but that's okay. That's part of the deal. So when you talk about standardizing things, this is one of the first steps to doing that. So, you know, we obviously went out and spent some good time and seen the crews do stuff. Now you got to standardize the work. We did some previous time ops, and the time ops obviously give you the bar charts and tell you how much waste is in the process. Now, when we go to do this, you notice the times are on one side, and then you got who the people are involved in on the process and what steps are. And then you got the tasks that they're supposed to do. And the key on the time on the side is when you take the bars and you're looking at the waste and you say, all right, you know, we got X amount of minutes of waste in the process, we figure out where that is, but you got to figure out what tasks are creating that waste. So when you go to give it from one person to another, you got to figure out if that's actually going to be sequenced right and it's going to be choreographed right. So that's why we did the times on this side. And we knew at the beginning we had a whole lot of waiting time. So we figured about 2 hours was our good cutoff, that we have to get everything ready and perfectly set. So once we shut the water off, if we do have control, then we can rock and roll on that and get the water back on. The other thing is, when you're looking at the choreographing, there are things that the whole crew has to do. So you got lockout, tagout, that's got to be there. Shoring takes a whole lot of people involved. So if you don't sequence this and actually choreograph it, you're going to be all jumbled up. And then when you actually go out and test this, which would be the next thing you do, and you do time ops on it, that time ops that you do the second time around is what truly tells you whether or not your plan's working and you came up with a good plan to work. The two different plays are set up off of, play one is just a repair clamp. So it could be a corrosion hole, it could be a temp brake, but whatever it takes that just a repair clamp's going to fix. The second play is where we actually cut the pipe out. So there's more work involved in play two. And we came up with 5.5 hours for play one and 7.5 hours for play two. And on Wednesday we did a play two. We barely got the standard of work written, and then we got a leak, luckily. Went out there and they hit it. It just looked good, so the play wasn't bad. We still have some waste in the process. We still had some waiting time. But for the first time out of the gate, we went 56%, I think, better on cutting down the waste from the one we seen on Monday. So that's kind of what that's all about, is building the standard work.
All right, this is actually Wednesday when we went out in the field and we tested the standard work. We used our inshores and everyone had their list of set tasks to do when we cut in a piece on an 8-inch main break and cut down customer outage time in the process.
All right. Okay, a lot of times when we're out there, we're dealing with customers and our public relations. We're always dealing with the public. We're talking to them, letting them know what's going on, how long the water's going to be out, how soon we're going to have it back on, clean up, street restoration or lawn restoration. As you can see, we have two of our top-notch guys, foremans right here. As you can tell, they're talking to the dog, so they know they're trying to get everybody involved in this process. So the dog was more interesting than the customers. So we're always trying to make sure that the public is informed on what we're doing on every task we have, because there's always somebody that's going to come out. They're going to be either mad at us or they're going to try to help us out. And it's true, they were trying to give us coffee at the end of this one, and it was great. So and hot toddies, doubles too. So communication with our public is a really big key to what we're doing out there on the job, so they know exactly what's going on and how long the water's going to be out.
Thank you, Sam. All right, what this chart represents, this is our cycle time and our tack time. There it goes. It's the two plays that Tom was talking about earlier. It's kind of our scorecard that we use to see how well these plays are going. So this is our experiment, the one we did the other day after we wrote the standard work, our play two, putting it into action. Our tack time right here, our goal was 7.5 hours. Originally, it was 9.2. That's what was averaging over a whole year period. So we wanted to get this job 25% more productivity. So that's why we got with the 7.5 hours. The manual cycle time, this 22:30 here, this is a matter of minutes. It says actual time we were actually working or touching or doing something. The total cycle time, the 24:80, includes the wait. So when you look at this chart here, it shows all members of the team here, all 6 members, and this is Iron Woman. The black right here represents waiting. Then we got the working time, and then we have, some of these are a little off because some of these figures don't have, but those are the drive times. driving to the time and back. And what we try to do is we choreograph it to try to fill the whole space. If we don't have the slide for our first one, you would see most of them were coming around, topping off right around here. So this just shows our choreographing, our moving around worked. And the biggest thing you'll see here is 57% reduction in wait time. That's pretty huge for just going through and coordinating. We still have some room for improvement. We're not going to always get away with all the waiting time. Locates are there. We're waiting on certain things, but that's quite an improvement. A real huge increase or decrease, 77% in our customer outage. Our target for this event is a 25% reduction, and that will take it, if we could get our customer outage hours down from 5.25 hours. Over our event, we were on this one, what were we, an hour and 37 minutes? That was really good. And one of the things that we've done, we created standard work, and we're trying to, when we did the hydrants and we did the valves, we were controlling when we shut the water out. When we have leaks, we really don't. But we found in a good percentage of the cases, we could still leave the water on a little bit. And then we could decide when we shut it down. So that really helps us on our customer outage there. Any questions on this one? Next slide. Okay, team collaboration. One thing we were having some, we wanted to deal with the warehouse. There were some warehouse issues. So we wanted to tackle those issues. And one of the things we came up with in a collaborative effort, everybody knows what collaboration means, right? The 3 C's. Anybody know what the 3 C's are? Anybody? Communication, cooperation, and coordination. If you have those 3, you have collaboration. So what we want, we have a lot of people trying to talk to the warehouse and a lot of people with different ideas, and warehouse didn't know where to go, and there was a lack of communication there. We didn't have the collaboration. So what we set up, we tried to set that up. So what this is going to be, it's every 2 weeks, we're going to have a meeting. Procurement's going to be involved, the warehouse, the district managers, and Gabe Labardi and John Lujan. What they're going to, the 2 foremen, their act is, they're going to be the people that anybody else in T&D on the construction side, they go to Gabe first, and then Gabe takes it to the meeting. So we have one focal point to talk to the warehouse. And same thing on the maintenance side is going to be John. So that's going to be a meeting that happens every 2 weeks. So hopefully we get a lot more done with that. Next slide.
Thank you. Okay, so safety is probably the most important part of the work that we do around here, whether it's for our workers or for our customers. So while we're digging in the hole, once we have the hole dug, we'll have the backhoe drop some rock down on top of the mud so that the workers aren't sinking into the mud and getting stuck or presenting other dangerous situations. We're going to be shoring all 4 sides of the hole. Yeah, I'm not going. If you shore 4 sides, all 4 sides will be shored. That was your idea. And also we'll be rotating workers from leak to leak, depending on the severity of the leak. If we have smaller leaks over here, but we have too many workers over there, but we have a big one over here, we can move workers to the next leak site there. So.
Thank you. So what do we have left to do? First, Drake is going to train all of emergency services on standard work with the help of Jeff. We are going to train new crews on standard work, and that's going to be Tom, and that's going to be sometime soon because we got a lot of crews. And then there is a time field and end field for emergency services right now. We're going to look into that to see if we can actually have it on our end field side for T&D. So I'm going to get right on that. We sadly only had 4 safety improvements implemented out of the target state of 10, but it's all Sandra's fault, so that's okay. The standard work documents, we had a target of 1, and we actually got 2 of them out of there. We did actually train a crew of this new process during the lean event, so we got one down. The customer outage hours, the initial state was 7 hours. We have a target state of 25% reduction, which is 5.25 or 5 hours and 15 minutes or 315 minutes. And in the lean event, we actually got it down to 1.67. So, the productivity play 1, we didn't get a chance to actually implement it during the lean event, but we did the productivity play 2, which we sleeved in a piece, or we cut it in a piece. And the initial state was 55.25 hours, and our target state was 45, and we got it down to 43.5.
Innovation. So what did we learn? Well, that's kind of another inside joke. Met with Iron Woman, and I was only aware they had 10 yards, but apparently they have bigger trucks. And so I let the crew know that, and they were like, duh. Gabe wanted me to let you know that the camera was 40 pounds. No, but some of those things, it wasn't an easy process. I really liked how, obviously how I feel weren't the ones we had on Tuesday, but yesterday, everybody thought we had a good process. They feel good about the process, and I'm glad it's over. Good about the week, but the one I liked the most was laughter in the group was always first priority. We had a lot of laughter this week, so that made it enjoyable. We spent a lot of time together, a lot of late nights with these leagues on Monday and Wednesday. We were out there, long days, but team demonstrated passion in building a solid experiment. Excellent. Focus on the customer to get the water back. And the crew had passion for what they do out on the job. So I think it was a very productive week. And I think we could all be proud of what we did. And so hopefully it's going to be better for Denver Water. Any questions?
On your standard work, I'm thinking like a sports team, unlike Seahawks, right? When someone goes out on the job, is your standard work going to be that I'm pipe guy 1 and these are my 4 assignments? And it's almost without saying, or do you have to make the assignments in the field? Or do people know my role is this when I roll onto the site?
The question was, so people, when we look at standard work, do we write it out for each individual person on the team so they know exactly what they need to do, correct? Is it roughly?
Which, if people move in and out, it's not for a person, but for a position.
Yeah, for the position. And in the standard work, it's written for each position. They have exact roles, steps all the way through. And each one has their own playbook in that play. Okay. And then they rotate around. Move around, they can switch jobs and they just switch what they're doing. Any other questions? Thought there was more? Everybody decided not to ask? I think we're good. Thank you for coming.
So I want to thank everybody that was involved with the event. Like almost all rapid improvement events, the crew works hard over the week. There's some long hours on occasion. There's some ups and downs. There's brutal math that they have to immerse themselves in at times and be subject to, and that's the last thing they want to do. They just want to get out in the field. So, again, thank you for that. But there's a couple other things that I think are worth mentioning as well. I think we're starting to see that the 1 week rapid improvement event is really turning into much more than just a week. We collected data for quite a long time before the week. I don't know, Tom, 2-3 weeks in advance. We develop the scope of the event, several months in advance. We're starting to gather data 4 weeks, 6 weeks in advance, so a lot of pre-work. There's also a lot of post-work, implementing the results of an event like this. There's a lot that goes kind of unnoticed. For one crew, obviously there's some follow-up, and it will take a couple of weeks for for all of this work to get kind of embedded in the group. But there are 15 or 16 other work crews, so it will take us a year, year and a half maybe to get the standard work nailed down and then also implemented for each crew, because we'll spend 2 or 3 weeks with each crew, allowing them to work with it, work the bugs out of it, get good with it before we then hit the next crew. And of course, we've got multiple rapid improvement events. So, just with the maintenance group, we've got the hydrant work, we've got valve work, now we've got main break repairs. So, some of the data management and tracking that Tom and Drake are doing, we're talking about big spreadsheets that are 18 months out in advance, or 18 months out planning-wise. So a lot more work going on than maybe there was 2-3 years ago with our events. The other thing that I wanted to point out is this is actually the third event in a row where the same crew has been involved with being immersed in developing standard work. So John Lujan and his crew. So, they did the hydrant standard work, hydrant replacement standard work. They did the valve replacement standard work, and now the main break. So this is 3 rapid improvement events in a row where they've put their hand up and said, "Pick me. We know what we're doing. We trust the process." I don't know. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but. But they've been really positive to work with. Again, there are some ups and downs, but it makes it so much easier and reduces the stress when there's a teamwork approach and everybody's in it for all the right reasons. So, I think Audrey, you've been the next up in both the hydrant and the valve. So, we're really kind of starting to see a flow established, and it just makes everything work so much better. So, again, big shout out to everybody this week in the event, and especially John's crew, who's spent almost the entire year doing continuous improvement.
One last thing. So I know you've heard David mention it before, but the first step in continuous improvement is to identify the waste, right? To be able to see the waste. And I think this crew definitely started there this week. And as you can see, just by looking at the waste, 57% reduction in wait time. It's pretty huge. So the other thing this crew did was challenge the status quo. So they were always asking questions, always going further and pushing the line further. So hats off to you guys. You guys did a great job this week. And we don't have any A3 report outs or any other updates this week. So everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.